Senator Hirono.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Before I begin my questions, I'd like to take a moment to highlight the true costs of this war, both for the military and everyday Americans, and the true cost of the president's illegal war with Iran. And since the start of the war, 14 brave U.S. service members have been killed and more than 400 have been wounded. We burned through over $25 billion in taxpayer money with no end in sight. And the fiscal year 27 budget request is a massive 42% increase from last year. Hundreds of critical munitions have been expended and deployments have been extended, directly impacting service members' quality of life, military readiness, and our ability to deter our adversaries. The relationships with our allies, some of our closest allies and partners, have been fractured. And the closure of the Strait of Hormuz, which somehow caught the president by surprise, even though he had to have been warned, is directly contributing to the affordable crisis that Americans are facing. Energy costs are skyrocketing with the price of gas now at its highest level in almost 4 years. Instability has driven interest rates to its highest level since September of last year. The cost of fertilizer is spiking, which will have a direct impact on the cost of food. This illegal war is driving up costs, undermining readiness, and alienating our allies with neither a clear rationale for starting this war nor an exit strategy. And when the president was asked how long he'll let this war continue, he said, "Do not rush me." I have a question for General Kane relating to women serving in combat, and I'd like to hear your best military advice. Does the mere fact of women being in combat armed units lower standards or readiness if they meet the physical standards?
Well, ma'am, the standards are set by the civilians. We have examples of women leading well across the joint force. I'll highlight some of our current commanders engaged in the fight in Epic Fury. Specifically, one of our bomb squadrons are led by an extraordinary female leader who's doing great work. And but those standards are set by. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to step on you.
I think your answer is that in fact it does not lower standards of readiness. Second question, should every service member, regardless of gender, be permitted to serve in any role, including the combat arms, if they meet the standards established? Yes or no?
Is that to me, ma'am?
Over the last decade, since combat arms have been open to women, have you personally seen any instance where the standard resulted in a degradation in combat effectiveness?
Apologies, I didn't hear your first question. The people policies are all set by the civilian leaders in the government. Could you repeat the question again? I'm sorry, ma'am.
Over the last decade, since combat arms have been open to women, have you personally seen any instance where the standard resulted in a degradation in combat effectiveness?
Again, I'll highlight that the standards are set by our civilian leaders. Women continue to perform well across a range of MOSs and jobs and AFSCs that are out there.
No. I do need to get to a question for Secretary Hegseth. Prior to your nomination hearing, you said women shouldn't serve in combat armed units. At your confirmation hearing, you reversed course and, and you basically said as long as the women meet the standards, they should be able to serve. But recently, you ordered a review of the effectiveness of women in combat roles, and I am concerned you are laying the groundwork to reverse the policy allowing women to serve in these units because right now, current law, if you want to change this policy, current law requires you to submit a report to Congress justifying such a change. So did you order the review to support a potential decision to overturn the policy of having women in combat roles?
We are laser focused on standards. The highest male standard for every combat arms position should be the standard. And 10 years into this, we are reviewing it, which is what the American people would expect. Also, there's nothing illegal about a war that defends the American people and prevents Iran from having a nuclear bomb.
Hegseth, you didn't answer the question because the reason that you're asking for this review, I think, has to do with your earlier position that you don't think women should serve in combat roles. So now we have this study, and I'd like to ask you,
Senator,
will you reveal this study to the public, to the American people? Will you make the study public?
will you make that study?
Yes or no?
We're doing the study for that very reason, to ensure that real science is applied to this question and not social engineering like the previous
We
administration.
appreciate your assurance that that will be made public.
Yeah, I think it's really critical
you.
that this study be made.
Thank you, ma'am. Senator Scott.
Thank you.
Well, first, thank each of you for being here. Secretary Hegseth, can you talk about, you've had the job for a little bit, what are you most proud of, and what are your biggest challenges?
Well, I appreciate the question. And what I'm most proud of is the incredible men and women who serve in our nations in uniform, and what they are capable of when they're given a clear mission and unleashed to do it. And I think the best reflection of the success of President Trump and this War Department is the historic recruiting success and the historic morale amongst our ranks. I would encourage every member of this committee, Democrat or Republican, go into the formations, go into the Air Force formations, the Army formations, the Marine Corps formations, and talk to corporals, talk to sergeants, talk to lieutenants, talk to captains, talk to colonels. And what you will find are men and women more inspired to serve in the military than they have been in a generation. And you see that in the young Americans who are rushing to recruiting stations at historic numbers, 30-year highs across the force. We're hitting our recruiting numbers halfway through the year. Why is that? Because the American people look at what we're doing at the War Department by getting back to basics, and they're attracted to that. Same with our retention rates, which are now merit-based. Our best sergeants, our best leaders are staying. That's exactly what we want. So we've made changes to change the environment. The renaming of the department to the War Department is not just a name. In fact, it's restoring it to the original name of the department set by George Washington. But it's an ethos as well. That warrior ethos lives inside the heart of each one of these men and women, and we're unleashing it. I'm proud of you name it, the border, the missions, yes, those are all incredible demonstrations of that, but it's the people and the urgency of Americans to want to be a part of it that is the best affirmation, Senator.
Thank you. So we've talked about the importance of not relying on Chinese drugs for our military. Can you just talk about what you're doing to make sure that we don't continue to rely on China for anything, including our drugs?
Oh, drugs.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We can't be dependent on China on anything that's critical to our supply chain, even if it's the national industrial base and not just the defense industrial base. And you've been a leader on that. This committee's been a leader on that. Onshoring, bringing manufacturing here, bringing critical capabilities here is central to the interagency and the NSC, but also our department. If any critical weapon system is reliant upon something China could change at a moment's notice, then we have a true challenge to our ability to produce for the American people. And so we're finding all of those, changing them, onshoring it, reviving the defense industrial base allows us to ensure we're separated from China on anything that's critical.
Thank you. Can you talk about the importance of foreign military sales to our allies and our partners, and what you're doing to make sure that whether it's what you're doing right now in Iran or any potential conflict in Asia, our partners have the best assets to be able to be a great partner?
Absolutely. Foreign military sales has been a huge problem for a long time because the department didn't prioritize it and organize to deliver efficiently on it. So we're working with the State Department. We've changed the way we do business internally. The executive order, the America First Arms Strategy, prioritizes what we sell and to whom, a catalog approach. But it took us, this committee would be astonished to to know how long it took us just to get our arms around who we're selling to what and by what processes, which means there was no strategy behind ensuring we're sending the proper demand signal to industry and delivering those systems on time and under budget to those countries, which you can imagine is frustrating to partners who are relying on those to be able to step up and burden share. So foreign military sales is critical to our own defense industrial base. More customers for our companies that employ more American workers to ensure our allies are properly armed for the fights and they can stand alongside us. So FMS is a big one for us, Senator.
General Kane, I just want to commend you and everybody in the military for what you did in Venezuela and then what you've done in Iran. The willingness of the American military to fight and win, do you think it's changed the calculus for Beijing and Moscow?
Well, Senator, I know they're watching, and I'm incredibly proud of the joint force and their ability to integrate and synchronize a range of activities. And I suspect that my counterpart in China is watching very closely and envious of what our joint force is capable of doing if ordered to do so.
All right. Well, thank each of you, and thank everybody that serves under you.
Thank you, Senator Scott.